the rivalry week against UTEP?
Well, for about the first half and part of the second half, we looked like a pretty good football team. Just too many mistakes to overcome when you're playing against a team of that caliber. We're still trying to figure out how to play 4 quarters, because I think when we can get to that point, we have a good football team. And we're fortunate to be 1-1, going to a game that I think UTEP has. They got a good football team. So we're going to change some things up this week. I know everybody's kind of beating us up on that third quarter, and rightfully so. So we're going to try to tweak some things this week to try to get us out in the second half, to play a better second half, to give us a chance to win this week.
Coach Walker, in terms of UTEP, do you think from an offensive standpoint, they've obviously faced 2 very good teams right off the bat. The first game they ran the ball well, they didn't throw the ball well. Second game they threw the ball well, they didn't run the ball well. I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, are they underrated to a degree from offense? Because we know Coach Price takes a great deal of pride in scoring points, throwing the football. What do you see offensively from them? Do you think they're a little underrated in that respect this year?
I think so. They played against 2 BCS teams. They played them tough. Coach Price is a very good offensive-minded coach. They've given us troubles. I know the first couple of years they gave us a lot of troubles. Last year they didn't have the starting quarterback, so I think that helped us a little bit, to be honest with you, from a defensive standpoint. But they have good players, have good running backs, their O-line, big O-line, good-looking tight ends. I like the receivers. I know the senior receiver, Mike Edwards, we try to recruit him, so we know a little bit about him. And the quarterback, we know a little bit about him. So I think their offense is solid.
In terms of their little running back, Jeffrey, he didn't play last weekend. Do you prepare for this football game as if he's going to be on the field?
No question, no question. But at the same time, the backs that filled in, they did a good job too. So we're just going to prepare for their offense, whoever plays, because I think they're going to bring a good offense against us on Saturday.
And obviously only week 3. We know about the rivalry here. Again, it's only week 3 of the season. How would you quantify this football game, coming from the head coach of New Mexico State? How important is it for your football team? What do you want to see out of your football team?
Well, it's not a game where you want to put your whole season on, but at the same time, this could really elevate our confidence and really get us headed in the right direction after the first quarter of the season. So from that standpoint, it is a pretty big game. Not only it's a rival game, but it's a game that could get us to 2-1 and give us the confidence that we're looking for.
I guess your 4th year. You've had these guys are mostly your recruits now, except for maybe the 5th year seniors. You really feel like you're getting your program in place, that it's really hitting a new level now? I do. The frustrating part about it is that you want it to come now, all of it. And after 2 games, we're 1-1. We beat a Sac State team that beat Colorado. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but to be 1-1 right now is a good thing. This is kind of where I thought we would be, so that's why this game is very important, because we want to be 2-1 after the first quarter of the season. So I think we're making strides. Am I totally happy? No, I'm not totally happy, because you really would have liked to play 4 good quarters against Ohio, which would have really given me more indication that we are making the strides that I would like our football team to make. But we are 1-1, and we get a chance to get to 2-1 against a good UTEP team.
Could you talk about your running game a little bit?
It got better. Probably should have stayed with it more, because sometimes your offense is your best defense, and I thought that would have probably helped us a little bit more last week. Probably got away from the running game a little early, even though we were down 10 points and 14 points, but there was still a lot of time in the game, and I just think we probably threw the ball around a little bit too much at that stage of it. But at the end of the day, we did improve our running game.
So you don't think that our passing attack is our strength?
It is our strength, but I think they have to play, to put pressure on our quarterback to have to throw to win every single game. I'm not saying that's the answer either. I think it's balance. I think we have to be more of a balanced team and not put all the pressure on the quarterback, whether we're down 10 or down 14 now. I just felt our running game was going pretty good, and I thought we probably could have stayed with it a little longer.
Coach Walker, you talked about playing a complete game, the third quarters. I mean, maybe it's a sheer coincidence, who knows? How do you practice something like that? How do you make adjustments like that leading up to this week's game? What do you do as a football team leading up to the game?
Well, we're going to change the structure a little bit, and I'm brutally honest with our football team, so there'll be some things we'll talk about today in terms of points given up, points scored in our last two games in the third quarter, and I'll try to design some things in practice this week to put an emphasis on the third quarter and what we need to do to continue to play good first halves, but again, play better third quarters.
Is this the best UTEP defense you've seen from them?
I would say so. I know Andre pretty well. I think their front's pretty good. Their secondary, their seniors, they're aggressive. I think this is the best secondary that we've seen this year from the standpoint. They're not going to be afraid of our guys. They're going to get up and they're going to challenge them. They're going to pressure our quarterback. So this is probably, from an aggressive standpoint and a challenge standpoint, probably the best defense that we've seen.
Do they play a similar style to Ohio, Coach, defensively or not?
No, I think they're going to be more aggressive. I think Ohio's defensive coaches, they do a great job scheming. They came out and played some cover 2 against us early to try to take our wideouts out of it, and then I think as the game kind of progressed, they kind of eased back in to their scheme, which is good coaching. I really believe UTEP, they're just going to come out and do what they did to us last year. They're going to challenge our wideouts. They're going to blitz manly, and they're going to force us to have to make a play. And I think the running game part of it, we're going to have to prove to them that we can run the ball. I don't think they're going to come in and be overly concerned with our running game.
Coach, it's more of the, I don't know how much you put into like individual stats or whatever, but what does it say about the NMSU offense and the wide receiver position as a whole that Franklin leaves the country after 2 weeks?
I think it's good, but if you also look at those stats, we had 206 yards total offense last week. And even though he scored a touchdown, and we welcome as many touchdowns that he can score, but at the same time, this is a team. It's not an individual sport, and we have to gain way more than 206 yards against a UTEP defense that's pretty good.
Is the wide receiver position, Coach? I mean, obviously it's a strength of this football team. I mean, if you could just talk about that unit overall.
Yeah, these guys are explosive, and these coaches, they aren't dumb. I mean, they watch tape too, and I think UTEP's going to look at us. If we give these guys free access to run their routes with our quarterback, our guys are going to make plays. And I really believe they're going to try to take space away from us and make it harder for our guys to win one-on-ones, along with their pressures and along with trying to get Manley to see the rush more so than giving our guys a chance to get open. Because that's what they did to us last year. So if you have, I'm going to challenge our wideouts. If we're as good as everyone says, including myself, then I expect these guys to win some one-on-one battles this week.
How would you say Franklin, his role or his skill set as a whole has changed from year one?
He's a good player. Last year he was a baby. You saw talent even last year. I just think he's done a good job working, learning about college football. I think he's matured. He's gotten stronger. I think he understands the offense better. He's gonna be a pretty good player, and he's only a sophomore.
What is our injury situation this week?
We're going to get Clay back. I think we came out of it pretty good. You're always going to have some nicks here, some nicks there, but in terms of having players missing this game, I think we're in good shape. So from that standpoint, we've been pretty fortunate.
guess this was the game he got hurt at last year. Is he all the way back?
Oh, yeah, he is. I know he has this particular game circled. I'm sure he's a competitor. And, he's going to be challenged. I think the things that he saw last year, I think he's going to come right back and do it again. And this is a game that I hope he can return the favor.
Anything else for Coach? Okay, Coach,
Thanks, Coach Walker.